Hey, I'm Stephen Matthews from Rocky Mountain, and I'm going to show you how to change the shifter and cable housing in your Rocky Mountain Instinct Alloy, Altitude Alloy, or Thunderbolt Alloy. When it comes time to replace your shifter cable and housing, you're going to need a few tools. Housing cutters, cable cutters, Allen keys, the T25 Torx depending on your derailleur, and the RockShox Reverb Stealth barb connector. You'll also need some new parts. 4mm shifter housing, 4mm shifter housing end caps, a shifter cable, cable crimp, and 4 zip ties. Shift your derailleur to the smallest cog in the cassette and undo the cable pinch bolt on your rear derailleur. Use your cable cutters to cut the end of the shifter cable off. Remove the shifter cable from the shifter and pull it through your old housing. The good tip here is to make sure you leave your housing in the frame. Cut the 4 zip ties that are fixing the housing to the chainstay, as well as the one attaching it to the brake hose under the bottom bracket. Pull out the bottom bracket plug and remove the clamshell pieces using a 2.5mm Allen key. Make sure to leave the O-ring around the housing and brake hose. Using your housing cutters, cut a new piece of housing slightly longer than your old one. Insert the RockShox Reverb Stealth barb connector into one end of your new piece of housing and thread the other side of the barb connector into your old housing at the head tube port. Make sure you leave the housing grommet at the head tube port installed in the frame. Gently pull the old housing from below the bottom bracket as you guide the new housing at the head tube port. Be aware of the foam tube that's around the old piece of housing in the down tube and make sure it moves to your new piece of housing as you feed it through. Also, you want to make sure your new housing is not twisted around the brake hose or dropper post housing inside your frame. Reinstall O-ring on the bottom bracket plug, tighten the 2.5mm screw most of the way, and slide the bottom bracket plug back into the frame. As you measure out the amount of housing needed to reach the rear derailleur, you'll need to leave enough shift housing to match the curvature of the brake hose under the bottom bracket. Cut shift housing to length, install your housing end caps, and install 3 zip ties on the chainstay and 1 on the loop under the bottom bracket. Fully tighten the clamshell of your bottom bracket plug and reinsert it into the frame. Install a new shift cable in your shifter and feed it through your new shift housing. Fix the cable to the derailleur, install your cable crimp, and begin to set up your shifting.